Sitaram, dear viewers, and welcome to the Hindu Perspective, a special presentation of the Dharma Mandal or the Board of Swaha Incorporated here on IETV. We do hope that you will remain with us for the next hour as we explore various issues affecting our nation and Hindus in particular. And today we do have a special program scheduled discussing topics that I'm sure may be of relevance to you. So I warmly welcome each and every one of you. We have had engaging conversations over the last few weeks. Last week, certainly dealing with Upavas and Vrat and fasting during that most auspicious period of Navratri. And I know as Hindus and viewers, many of you are eagerly anticipating this Saturday's celebration of Hanuman Jayanti. But it's also a special time for us here as members of and Pandits of Swaha Incorporated. I hand over to Pandit Jaidat Maharaji, who will give more information.
Thank you very much, Pandit Ishwar. And of course, let me extend special welcome to both members of the panel, Pandit Ishwar and Pandit Gyandev, senior member of the Dharma Mandal and the Board of Swaha. And as Pandit Ishwar mentioned, this is a Hindu perspective. And within this program, we seek to share certain information and perspectives with our Hindu community. And of course, you are free to call into the station and of course, send messages to 470-8103 as you normally do. And we will address those messages as we move along with our program. Now, this week is particularly important to our Hindus in many different ways. Firstly, as Pandit Ishwar mentioned, that this week we celebrate Hanuman Jayanti. And Hanumanji is one of the icons of Hinduism as Sanatan Dharma. It is also fallen on a Saturday, which is considered a very auspicious day for the worship of Hanumanji. In addition to that, just one day before, on April the 15th, we will celebrate the anniversary of Swaha Incorporated. This will be our 29th year of life, of course, since the incorporation of the organization. And it so happens that we also recognize, I don't want to say celebrate, but we acknowledge and we recognize the life of the founder of the organization, Shankaracharya. So on the same day, we celebrate the life of the organization and we celebrate we recognize the contribution of the head of our organization. Swaha Incorporated was formed in 1993 by Act of Parliament. Since then, the organization has grown tremendously to include many different arms, many different aspects. And this growth has been both, locally, and we have been recognized globally also. So local growth, international growth. We have made many affiliations, many partnerships, and all of this speak to the value of organization and the impact it has made on the wider community. Swaha, by its mere definition, is really an organization that is working towards the advancement of human aspiration, Hindu aspiration, both aspects of it. For to be Hindu is to be human. That is a perspective of our scriptures and Sanatan Dharma. And today with us, we have one of the senior members of the board of directors of Swaha, and he would have been one of the foundation members of the organization, Pandit Gyandev Prasad. And we'd like to pass over to Panditji to give us his perspective on the formation of Swaha, maybe some information that we as the younger ones may not know about, and maybe those who are looking on may not be aware about. I know that Pandit Gyandev, by way of information, that name Swaha itself, that he was the one who came up with this. That is through his own, whether it be David Rishti, he will tell us his own insights and experience that he came up with the name of Swaha, and immediately that was taken as the name of the organization. So Pandit Gyandev, we'd like to pass over to you to give us a little bit of the history and some insights, and for you to share with us, what you think is important for us to recognize on this as we come up to the 15th of April.
Thank you, Pandit Jaidat. Let me just make a little bit of correction on that. Why I like to take praise for giving him Swaha, that's Pirelli Pandit Balaram. It is he who actually came up with the name. When we were going to form the organization, all the foundation members met together and we said, what is the best name we can use for this organization? to reflect what you want to do. What you want to do was to serve dharma from a perspective of religion. Apologies. So we had many names that came up. One that came up was Guru. And many people said, yeah, that sounds okay. And we said, let us, contemplate upon that name and try and get other names also. And what happened, through the grace of God and the instrumentality of Pant Balram, the Upa Paramachar, he came back and said he liked the name Swaha. Now, many people say that Swaha is not you can't use that as a name because that's a popular word. You use that in puja all about when you making offerings. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namah Swaha, Sri Gauri Mata Swaha. And then when he said that, then he said, well, exactly, this is an offering to society. So what better name than call it Swaha? Just as he offered Havan. He said, we can use this name Swaha and stuff like that. And so we accepted when Balaram's suggestion, and it sounded good to all of us. Immediately, we felt it was something we can use. And when that name was given, well, going to what Panchayat said, after the name was given, it's like a child being born. When you see the child, you give the child a name. So we had the organization being born, the incorporation and so on, what had to be done. And we said after the name, we had to form the identity of the organization. So he said, what will the identity be? So now we say, you have to identify Swaha. And this is where, my apologies. This is where my input came in. I decided as a person who believe in really going through the things properly. I said, if we have an organization named Swaha, then let us see what Swaha means. Let's say the historic perspective of Swaha and religious perspective. And what happened is that we went to the scriptures, the Devi Bhagavad specifically, and we look at the Swaha Katha. And I'll come back to that. But I pass on to Parjishwar to speak about a little bit about Swaha's crown jewel, which is the Swaha Hindu College. Parjishwar.
Hi, Sitaram, everyone. Once again, and thank you, Panagandeo. So indeed, 29 years since the existence of Swaha, but one thing, I think everybody would know that while the organization, the incorporated body has been in existence since April 1993, Swaha, in many respects, has existed for long before that. Even our current Paramachar has been practicing Pandit and a Guru par excellence, we may say, for over 50 years, over 55 years or so. And of course, the organization would have been founded by the late Panahari Prasad, the Shankaracharya ji of Swaha. And if I'm not mistaken, Panagande will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but he would have been a Dharma Ratna of, the SDMS at that time, way back in the 70s and probably 80s, right? So we are talking about an organization, yes, 29 years this year, but in existence for so many decades, even before that, in another form then. Pandit sacrificing and Swaha itself, Swaha Devi, through her worship and through that offering, that sacrifice that we make, we are blessed. And this is why Pandit Balramji and the other founding members of Swaha Incorporated would have, been happy to choose such a name. So Swaha, yes, it's Swaha Devi. Yes, it's a society working together for, the upliftment of all Hindus and all humans in general. But very importantly, it stands for sacrifice also. And this is something we have been doing. And at the Swaha Hindu College, 21 years now, basically. This is our 21st year of existence as well. The first principal and leader would have been Pandit Balramji, then followed by Panagandeo himself, who is, of course, our main panelist here today. And over these years, just 2 short decades, we have achieved a tremendous amount. And we believe that there's a lot more that we can do. So, yes, there's academic excellence, but it goes far beyond just academic and, excellence, even extracurricular areas. Just about every field, every institution that you can look at in our nation today, you would have seen students who have passed through the corridors of Swaha Hindu College making their mark in all different professions and doing extremely well because they are grounded by certain core principles that we instill in them. And they have come from Sanatan Dharma. They have come from the founding fathers and pundits of Swaha Incorporated. Satyam, truth; Sauch, cleanliness; Daya, compassion; Dan, charity. These are the four houses in Swaha Hindu College. These are the four pillars that they stand up to. And this basically is propping us up. And apart from that, well, we know Bhagavad says this props up Dharma also, these four fundamental pillars of our religion. But it is something that we try to instill in them from very early. And I feel this has gone a long way towards making our school, Swaha Hindu College, very different to many of the other institutions around in our nation. There's a lot more to say, but I want to extend congratulations and best wishes to all followers of Swaha, all members of Swaha, all our pundits of Swaha on this, important occasion. And we pause and we reflect also while we celebrate 29 years. Next year will be an even more significant, occasion or anniversary, 30 years. But we also recognize the tremendous contribution of the late Shankaracharya Pane Hari Prasad, the founder of Swaha, and that individual who had a vision together with the other pundits, primarily his sons, as we all know, but at the same time, someone who sacrificed a lot, so much so that, of course, he left this mortal mortal existence on the founding day or the day that the organization was founded. And that speaks volumes to an individual, or about an individual in terms of the sacrifice that he would have made for Swaha and for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not just Hindus, because those who know him would know that he would have assisted thousands and thousands of people from all different walks of life, not just Hindus, not just followers of Swaha. But again, congratulations to all the well-wishers and founders and followers and members of Swaha. Sita, I hand over to Pandit Jaidat.
Thank you very much, Pandits, for those comments. And of course, you're already receiving tributes from persons who are wishing the organization, who are unaware of some of the history that's being shared. And of course, in a little while, we'll pass over to Pandit Gyano again to share some of the history of Swaha. But of course, you're receiving tributes, and to our viewers, we thank you very much for sending your messages and your well wishes towards your organization. And Pandit Gyano, he acknowledged the crown jewel of the organization, which of course is a educational institute, the Swaha Hindu College, located in Sani Grande. In addition to that, of course, we believe that education starts at the formative years. And while we do have secondary education, we also have a private primary school in Sani Grande. We have 4 early childcare and education centers that, of course, is part of the Ministry of Education's program. This is located at the Rangways, at Prisal, at Sani Grande, and of course in South Trinidad, Pinal. And of these institutions allow us to ensure that whatever we see and we define as the ideals of the organization, as the ideals of Swaha Incorporated, as defined by the Shankaracharya, by the board of directors of the organization, that is instilled within our organization, that we are guided by a constitution, and that constitution speaks to the major activities of the organization. Education is key amongst them. Sharing of cultural activities, sharing of religious education. These are some of the key ones. And of course, one of the most important one, which is community work, community welfare, which is all consistent with what Sanatan Dharma preaches and Sanatan Dharma teaches. And so besides a formal education, that Swaha has been trailblazers in many instances. And as it relates to education, one of them is that we were one of the first organizations, if not the first one, to formalize a religious education program and to share it to different communities. We were very instrumental in starting sessions where we would go to different communities. And the normal way of Yagya would have been to share information and to have passive listening, but that engagement with our devotees to try to understand what may be the concerns of these devotees and address those, that has been a focus of the organization. That's Swaha at a time when, and I can remember when we were younger, I was in secondary school at that time, maybe Form 5 or Form 6 or so, when the organization was formed. And there's a lot of talk, Swaha, a lot of jokes being made and all of that. And even at that time, being young, I understood what this was about, because being in a secondary school, I would have seen, and I'm sure that Pandit Ish would have seen that for himself, that, the young Hindus would have been leaving the religion. And I went to what is considered a prestige school for all intents and purposes. And even those institutions, there was not pride in young Hindus, that they were gravitating towards other ways of life, they were gravitating to other lifestyles. And when Swaha came about with the advent of the organization, that we saw that there was an influx of individuals, young Hindus, back to the organization. There was an influx of professionals who felt that this is an organization that they can be part of and they can contribute. And all of this has to do with the instrumentality of the founder of the organization, the head of the organization, who we are also recognizing today. So that Pandit Gyandev, in terms of, when the organization was formed, the strategy that was decided, is it that this was just incidental, that whatever was decided happened to attract professionals and younger Hindus, or is it that this was seen as a need of the day, and so, informed the type of organization that Swaha became?
Manaji, you quite rightly mentioned that in the formation of Swaha, what happened is that the initial trust for the formation of Swaha was for all of us to bring Hinduism back on its footing. At that point in time, as you rightfully mentioned, there is much disenchantment among young Hindus. And one of the things we decided is that we will not go along the normal mode of other organizations, where you find that nothing is happening to cater for the young generation and for changes in Hinduism. And we spoke up about the S1E colleges already. I just mentioned how the name Swaha came out to mention that, and what happened after that for the identity of Swaha. It was, I said, we checked the Devi Bhagavad. When we saw, I'll just give this here is a picture of Swaha Devi. This picture was actually made in India. I went to Mathura after researching for Devi Bhagavad. I met some people who draw, they call them artists. I asked them, I said, give me a representation of Swaha Devi. It took quite a while. It drew on canvas. I have the canvas copy in my home here. My apologies. And we used that to put on our first publication. And this publication is a publication on, it's called Swaha Yatri Bhajans, where Ishwar Pranajairat and a few other members contributed towards this. Bhajans with translation. So we decided, if we have an organization, you have to cater for the people. If you're singing a bhajan, you must know what it means and the correct meaning. So we went about with publications. If you're in education, you must have publications. Without publications, something will not be right. You'll be missing something, a matter of fact. So we did that publication. Then we had the other one come up. We said we'll keep the theme of Rayatri. So we had Swaha Yatri, they have Navratri. And so there are many publications we speak about that you continue going to cater for the needs of people. Because apart from all the temples, We want these to reach people in their homes where they can use it conveniently. We'll continue after we take a break.
Are you interested in becoming a news reporter? ITV Newsroom is offering internships. Send a resume to news@itvtt.com.
Join us as we explore contemporary issues facing societies worldwide. Interviews and discussions featuring local and international experts. You can participate in our live call-in segments, a program of the board of SWAHA.
Join live every Tuesday evening at 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and prime time at 7 p.m.
Right, so we are continuing with discussion on the publications. We had a bhajan book, right, which is published with all input of all the pundits and especially the publication committee. Because this mentioned here, Ishwar Madhu Maharaj, one named Jayat Maharaj, and others who made contributions to this. Then we had the Navratri. We finished the period of Navratri just now, and these publications are very, very popular. When we publish them, they'll run out of copies actually. So we continued. Then we said we'll have Shivratri. For Shivratri and Bhagavan Shankar, we had this publication. And so we continued with the publication because there's a need for it. And all these publications were very, very successful because we thought to ourselves, SWAHA organization, we are catering for all aspects of our following. All aspects of the Hindu community. We're not going to, I think the last thing we have to open a hospital. We have a school, we have a children home, we have many institutions, all temples from north, east, west, north, and south. When Ishwar is in east, Tulsi Maharaj is in central, Jairat is in east, Ecolapis, Madras. So we have all the points assigned. It was what we call a strategy taken from the original Shankaracharya, where the original Shankaracharya of India, he established 4 major centers in India, east, west, north, and south. And we took that program, that thinking, and said, let's establish temples in all areas of Trinidad, east, west, north, and south, for Fast Penal, Kashi Vishwanath, Rock Road Penal. Now what happened? It was a new dispensation. Because previously in Trinidad, you had temples. Up till now, people don't know who owned the temple, who owned the land, where it comes from, what happened. And somebody who wants to be difficult can cause problems for those who wish to control the temple. And those who are carrying on could have problems because of power and struggle and so on. So we decided we'll have temples established in the name of SWAHA. So we said all temples being built by SWAHA. We built a lot. It will be in the name of SWAHA. But we didn't exclude others. We said those who join SWAHA and you have a temple, we'll have what we call a management committee arrangement. So that if you come in SWAHA, you have to follow this. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to use our name and our goodwill as such to conduct anything. So SWAHA, what we did, we took what we call, and many people who know SWAHA, when I ask them what do you think about SWAHA, they say SWAHA is known as people with intellectual capacity. The pundits are all qualified. So what happened? We tell people, you want to join SWAHA? Fine. You want to be in SWAHA? Fine. The pundits will be there to guide and have a partnership with the pundits and the executive. We still have the executive. Right now, the president of the executive is Pandit Jairat. We work together to make sure we go forward. This is a new dispensation also. That is, the pundit is a specialist in religion. He's not a specialist in other places. So he seeks help in all areas. So SWAHA brought a new thing to ensure that religion is taken care of. Now we open the doors to young people. There's this well, I don't want to condemn or criticize others, but there's this way called taboo. If you come in temple with pants, it's not good. Don't do that. Don't come. We are saying once they just decently dressed, fine. So a lot of things considering how we arrange our organization was instituted. And we did not leave out what I might call the other aspects like culture. So Phagwa, Diwali, all the other arrangements for Hindu religious occasions were celebrated to keep the social aspect in place. We recognize that in religion, you have the religious part of it and you have the social part of it. If you have a social aspect of your religion, there'll be problems and difficulties. The Swaha caters for all, in all areas, to make sure we are successful. We even had something called was most successful sports in Trinidad, in Swaha. It was held the first one at the Bolton Stadium, Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain. And it is to our benefit that when we started doing things, others started to follow. There was no National Sports Day and those kind of things before, National Sports Day and so on. When SWA started, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. We're glad, we appreciate that. So many things SWA did and continue to do, people follow. And this is what leadership is about. We are here to lead and we are leading. And who follow, we are not telling you that we are taking credit that you followed us. No, we are saying you are following Dharma. Once any part of Dharma, we are happy. So SWA is a leader, it continues to lead in many areas. I'll pass on back to Pandit Ishwar, who will continue on some of the other achievements of SWA in the various areas, social, religious, educational. Ishwar?
Yeah. So thank you, Panaji. And as Panaji was mentioning about some of the achievements of SWAHA, my mind goes back to one particular statement or saying rather that I would have heard from early on when I joined SWAHA, and it's something that I'm sure our many of our viewers and our followers would have heard. And it is a statement that I believe would have been made by Pandit Balram Prasadji, who incidentally is the one who also gave the name, as you would have heard. And it sort of defines in many ways how SWAHA operated as opposed to some of the other existing organizations. And of course, there has been, wonderful transformation and change even within our own community. And as Pandit Gyandev alluded to, other groups and organizations may have prompted certain changes in their operations also, and all that is welcome. So if we were the stimulus for positive change, that's excellent. But this statement, the 5 P's then, an action call, 5 P's, the pundits and the people working in a partnership for progress and for Paramatma. So the pundits and people working in a partnership, not just the pundit, a top-down approach. And the pundit telling you, you must do this, you have to fast, on that day you do a puja, and this is the only way and nothing else can work. Of course, yes, you give your advice, but you include people, bring them together. So the SWAHA executive includes a number of other individuals. Every temple would have their executive, and today, of course, that's a normal thing. You may wonder what is so strange. In many temples, many places of worship organizations, you have executives. But at that time, it was something new in terms of how it was done. So the pundits embracing others, working together with them in a harmonious relationship, in a partnership then, for progress and taking everyone forward rather than one group or just 2 or 3 people, or as some may say, the pundits alone wanted to move forward and the hierarchy alone attempted to move forward, but attempt to move everyone forward, uplift everyone. And this, saying it may still be difficult for one to perceive exactly what we are saying, but this was the intention. And it was marked by, I know we would have had experts, professionals in every one of these or major centers. So some of the centers that Pandit G mentioned, you have, of course, Sri Ram Dham in Dego Martin, actually where IETV is based. You have Tulsi Manas Mandir in Sangregandi. You have Sukshanti Bhakti Mandali in St. Augustine. And we must mention also the late Pandit Permanent Prasadji, who would have been the founding Pandit under, at that time, the Dharma Mandal of Swaha, when that center would have been founded. Then we have Pandit Professor Prakashji, who we would have seen on various programs before, and you all know as the president of UTT, the only Hindu president, only Pandit, sorry, to hold that position of a president of a university, at least in the Western Hemisphere that we know of. And he established, of course, it would have been Swaha Divya Ashram in the Presal area. And these are some of the main centers of Swaha. Then we have Pandit Jaida Maharaj, his center, of course, the Gyan Jyoti Mandali in Madras, and of course, Pandit Gyandev Prasad, who is the spiritual leader now of Sukshanti there in St. Augustine. And then so many other temples and centers and affiliates of Swaha, each performing the work of the organization, but each with its own executive of trained professionals, and not just professionals, individuals whom they may consider themselves simple, humble people, but all people who want to contribute meaningfully to society, people who want to create certain change in society, not people who just want to sit by and attend a service and clap and sing and they feel happy. They listen to a katha and they go and they were entertained, hearing wonderful music. It's a lot more than that. We speak about enlightened ritualism, trying to bring up across the message to, uplift the soul, the spirit, your minds also, so that you learn something and you can impart that knowledge to others. So we heard about the trust with education, not just with schools, but with religious instruction, religious education. And this was a hallmark of Swaha in the early days. And I'm saying we're linking the way in which Swaha would have transformed how many perceive religious groups and Hindu religious groups and Hindu bodies operate, because of the strong partnership with the Pandit, taking a leadership role, of course, but also giving and allowing others with the capacity to lead to also develop their skills. And I know Pandit Jaidat Maharaj could expand further on that. As the president of the executive, what is the current, constitution of our secretariat and our executive? And if he so wishes, of course, even to highlight some of these significant, players over the last few years who have done tremendous work for Swaha and for Sanatan Dharma in Trinidad. Panditji?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pandit Ishwar and Pandit Gyandev. And yes, Panditji, definitely there are many names, and I would not take the risk of calling any names because there have been so many contributors. Only to say that the amount of contribution that was made to the development of Swaha is obviously a testimony to the faith that has been placed in the organization. Now, Swaha, many of the members, as rightly said, come from different professions. They sit in the highest chairs in the organization, and they have seen the benefit of this organization and the contribution that has been made, and of course the potential of the organization at that point in time. Pandit Ishwar mentioned, the Pandit and the people working in partnership, for progress and Paramatma, as coined by the Upa-Permitter, Pandit Balaram. And that again speaks of leadership, so that there is shared leadership in the organization where the Pandit works as a member of the organization. And what I can tell you, and many members can bear testimony to this, that when temples were being built, all of the Pandits in their own temple would have done the same work as members. So I can tell you, at least for myself, when Gyan Jyoti was being built, I would have dig hole, tote, borrow, blocks, everything. I've seen Pandit Gyane do it, I've seen Pandit Balaram do it, and so all of the members, the Pandits, they have worked together, not as a show or anything like that. At those time, we didn't have cameras and camera phone and all of those things that we have now. So that those things were done as genuine sacrifice and service, because we understand what leadership means. That we want others to, work along with us. We have to set that example, and we have to be the greatest advocates for the growth of this organization. And that was the power of the leadership that attracted so many towards us, because all professionals understand that leadership, to be inspired, it means that, you know, you have to see that what is ideal represented in someone. And our pundits would have represented this from many of our professionals and our younger ones. Now, Pandit Gyanu spoke about the objectives of the organization, and we alluded to the structure, and they work hand in hand. In order for any organization to achieve its objective, that the structure needs to be in place. And I'll just share a little bit with you on the format or the structure of the organization of SWAHA. And the first thing is that, you know, we have the board of directors. And the board of directors is what we call the Dharma Mandal. And the Dharma Mandal, you know, is just as associate affiliation of members who are spiritual leaders and who are the policy makers of the organization. And they are policy makers simply because they will have formed, or we would have formed the organization, been part of that. Some were there from the beginning. Some would have retired, some would have passed on. My dad, Pandit Sonat, he's alive but retired. One of the founding directors, Pandit Lakshmanan Sharma, he would have passed on. And so over the years, there would have been a change in the constitution of the board. But it has always been a transparent process. And the governance structure that is put in place ensures that those who are, you know, contributing as leaders to the organization, they are the ones who are responsible for the policy making of the board. So that we have our policy makers, which is the board of directors, 11 positions always available to be filled. And underneath that, there's the national executive. And the national executive is made up of the secretary, the assistant secretary, the treasurer, and the PRO. Those are the elected positions. In addition to that, of course, we have our different committees. And Pandit Ishwar, Pandit Gyandev, they spoke about all of these activities. How are these activities organized? And of course, it is done through committees. So at the national level, we have our education board and education committee. We have the social services committee. We have the sports committee, the publication committee. And then we also have, you know, now one of the newest aspects is our social media committee and group. And we would know, and those of you who follow SWAHA will know that we have a heavy presence on social media, not only as individual pundits and temples. Of course, you know, we feature what we are doing, but as an organization, there's a SWAHA Facebook page and there's a SWAHA website. And for those who are viewing, in case you do not know, you can go right now and you can search up SWAHA International. You can look for us on our website, and all of the information that you would want to find is contained there. And as an organization, this is one of we have been trailblazers in that aspect, in terms of how we have presented Hindu organizations in Trinidad and Tobago. There are many temples that we have gone beyond that. There are many associations and groups of temples we have gone beyond that. We have presented ourselves and we have created what is called an organization. And an organization is not just a set of separate parts, but it's really a set of, you know, units that work together to achieve an objective. And so whether the objective at the point in time is a cultural show, whether it is social service activities, whether it may be a sports day, that entire organization and all of the component parts, the national executive, the board, the centers, we all come together to ensure that these things are successful. So that SWAHA has grown in this way into a powerful organization, one that we are proud of and that the Hindu community is very proud of. So that based on the discussions we have had so far, I just wanted to share that information with you and to say one thing that I believe that all of us should know, that SWAHA, in terms of besides the school where you have teachers and, you know, by law, they are paid as a profession. Besides that, in terms of the work that is required to run SWAHA as an organization, while many other other organizations than NPO, they have paid labor, we are different. And we have to say kudos to all of the supporters, all of the volunteers that SWAHA operates on 100% volunteer work. That unlike many other boards, none of the directors, the board members are paid for this. None of the members of the secretariat, they are paid. They have never asked And we understand, every single one of us, that this is a labor of love. And that is one of the unique aspects of our organization, SWAHA, and something that is commended. And all of these lessons came about from our founder, who we'll talk about a little bit when we come back. At this point, we'll take a break and then we'll return with our program.
Join us as we explore contemporary issues facing societies worldwide. Interviews and discussions featuring local and international experts. You can participate in our live call-in segments, a program of the board of SWAHA.
Join live every Tuesday evening at 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and prime time at 7 p.m. Are you interested in becoming a news reporter? ITV Newsroom is offering internships. Send a resume to news@itvtt.com.
So I have shared some information with you based on the structure of the organization, SWAHA. And when SWAHA was formed, of course, we didn't have all of these assets, etc. But over the years, through the kind donation of individuals, so, we have many properties, and they have all been donated by persons who believe in the vision and they have seen the work of SWAHA. And SWAHA continues to grow. And our growth is in two ways. We have what is called organic growth and inorganic growth. Organic growth, we have grown by our own strength, strengthen our core, our membership, and that has led to growth. And then our inorganic growth, where we have formed different affiliations. So we do have affiliate organizations, we have affiliate branches and centers. And these affiliate organizations, they of course, guided by our policies and our guidelines. We have a very robust governance structure that governs the board of directors as well as the rest of the organization. Now, I want to share what may be unique about some of the centers and the branches of our organization. And I'll focus on the centers first, because there's one common thread that runs through all of the centers of SWAHA. Now, SWAHA has 5 centers. We have a lot of affiliates, we have branches, but a center is, it's land that we own, and it's property that is vested in the name of the organization, and it's the property of SWAHA, and of course under the control of the board of the organization. And I'll start with Tulsi Manas Mandir. Tulsi Manas Mandir, located in Sangre Grande, it has a history of being the only temple that was built in 64 days. 64 working days, which is less than really 64 days. So 64 working days, that temple was built. That is a history for the building of temple in Trinidad and probably the entire Caribbean. And you can look around and see, right, many temples we see, hang up halfway and all of that. So that was a history that was what achieved there. We have the SWAHA Sukshanti Bhakti Mandali, which is currently headed by our panelist, Pandit Gyandev. And that is the first 2-story Hindu center. And we don't call our temples. We don't say temples or mandir because it is multi-purpose. We call them Hindu centers. It is the first one, SWAHA has coined that name. It is the first Hindu 2-story Hindu structure in Trinidad and Tobago, maybe the Caribbean. Panditji can verify that. We have the SWAHA Divya Ashram located in Prisal, and that is the first 3-story structure in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have SWAHA Sri Ramdam, which is the first 4-story structure in Trinidad and Tobago. We also have the SWAHA Gyan Jyoti Mandali, and it has the first SWAHA Devi Murti created and installed in all of these centers and across, of course, the temples. And the SWAHA Gyan Jyoti Mandali was the first center and the only center to create an event, which is the Hanuman Utsav, which is not even celebrated in India, but the only one that is celebrated in such an elaborate way, across the Caribbean and even India also. So these are some simple achievements. But what is the one thread that runs consistent across all of our centers? It is a contribution that the Shangachar has made. That in every single center, the Shangachar, for the what we call the Saturnian ceremony, he has contributed $10,000 to every single center. And that is just a small amount that he has contributed. But that is the one that he has given publicly. But he has constantly given his support, and he has contributed in so many other ways. And none of us will be here if it wasn't for the contribution and, the life of the Shankar who has inspired us so much. And today we have one of his sons, and, we'll ask Pandit Gyandev, to share some information, maybe things that we do not know. We know the Shankar, myself as the grandson of the Shankar, know him in one capacity, but Pandit Gyandev would be able to speak a little more about, the Shankar as a father, as well as the head of the organization. And of course, we commemorate his life on Friday, the 15th of April. So Panditji, we pass over to you.
Thank you, Panditji. The Shankar was someone who the entire Toronto people respected totally. I can give an example of people once saw his form. Yeah, many wanted to destroy it, but we didn't let that distract us. He took it as a challenge for us. It is history that there are those who oppose the form of a new Hindu organization for betterment of the Hindu people, because sometimes the tradition is, I'm in charge, I don't want nobody to interfere with this. I rule in here. So when he saw his form, many people found that a threat to them and how they operate. And the threats came in various ways, sometimes physical, sometimes intellectual, and sometimes in ways that you do not know. It is surprised. This one is open. There's a certain year which is organized, and we are known as the intellectuals of the Hindu religion. No self-boast, is what people say, and we prove it. And what happened in that year, they called the present Parmachar to officiate. Now, we realized afterward it was an attempt to discredit Swaha by saying the head organization is not qualified. That time Shankaracharya had died already. So when he hadn't died yet, sorry, my apologies. When Parmachar was called to the year, something told Shankaracharya he should go there. And he went there. And there were two scholars from India, a Hindi scholar, Sanskrit scholar, and an English scholar. And what the fellows said, they said, all right, now the Sanskrit scholar is going to speak. And I wanted Parmachar to explain. The Shankaracharya said, no, if you have a Hindi scholar, Sanskrit scholar, and English scholar, he explained. But anyhow, no mind, you go ahead and speak. So he allowed the Sanskrit scholar to speak. Now, while Sanskrit scholar was speaking, Shankaracharya objected, he said, stop. He said, you are saying the mantra wrong. You are saying what you're saying is incorrect. And he corrected him. And then translated for them. And everybody was amazed that that kind of intellectual capacity the Shankaracharya had. And this is why people respect him so much. And people in India still can't understand this. The Shankaracharya of India, the present Shankaracharya, was brought to Trinidad. And he came to meet our Shankaracharya. But you want to know who in Trinidad named Shankaracharya? That's not a name given to anybody. Nobody has that name except our Shankaracharya. Even we didn't follow it after because we believe we are not qualified enough to have that name of Shankaracharya. And that Shankaracharya came with a stick and his hat and barefoot and to treat people and things. And when he came, our Shankaracharya was lying on a hammock. And the Shankaracharya looked at it and says, is this our Shankaracharya? And they had a discussion. At the end of it, the Shankaracharya from India bowed to our Shankaracharya and said, Dhanya ho, aap mahan hai. You are great. Indeed, you are Shankaracharya. So there are many challenges, many, to make sure, to make it sure as though Swaha was not on stable ground or the leadership is weak. And there are many other challenges. I'm not going to it because my song has boast and personal to some people may feel offended. I'll not call names. But there are many things that Shankaracharya did. Spiritually, is regarded, this is one of the reasons why people follow Swaha initially. Because when Swaha is formed, the following of Shankaracharya, the following of Pandit Haridev, the most popular Pandit in Trinidad at that time. One of his statements was that if the year had 52 weeks, he had 54 years. He had more years for the year than weeks. He was so popular in Trinidad. The first Pandit to be that popular. And others, I'm not going to call a name, that will be given them prominence. But every single one who was trying to be popular after will learn under him. And it came under him. So that he was there and all the following was brought together, the following of Shankaracharya, the following of Pandit Haridev, the following of Pandit Balaram. But Balaram had a great leadership also. he has many people who respect him a lot and totally. He's well respected. Now the other pundits, like myself and others, they are not fallen really. But those three, Shankaracharya, Pandit Haridev, Pandit Balaram, their fallen was, and I still have the book from the Shankaracharya. He was very organized. You may not know this. But every time he initiated somebody, he used to write it down. I remember one person saying, "You want to go through and he have. And I want to go through and that one have, and next one have." If you add up all the people into that, it won't be so much. When I want to go through and you have on it, you can't forget a call. But Shankaracharya wrote down, you have it here, as many, I never counted it, as many. He's surprised to know who will go through and who. And he had a tremendous following. So that he was very organized in terms of structure and so on and management. And in terms of being a father, well, that's personal, I leave that here. In terms of knowledge and organization, he was able to manipulate to make sure that things go right for the organization. And even many organizations, when you have a strong leader, when that leader passes on, there's always some conflict and some strain in the organization, it falls down. Many times you see that. But in Swaha, we lost our Shankaracharya, and given I account to him, when the time comes, as Krishna Bhagavan said, "Jo paida hote hai, nishchit roop se mar jayenge." Those who have been born will die eventually, of course. So he said, then that time come, he appointed and he said, who will the next Shankaracharya, the next person will be to the leader of the organization. And automatically it was Pandit Haridev, the eldest son. And he accepted he is not qualified enough. No, anybody in Trinidad is qualified enough to be called a Shankaracharya. So he assumed the role of Paramacharya. This is what he is today. So Swaha went through very many trials and tribulations, even the loss of the leadership. Especially, I will say it again, when you have a strong leader and that leader goes, the organization normally goes through a tremendous period of suffering. So we transformed from one leader to the next and continue to grow and grow and grow. And so I growing continuously. So Shankaracharya was unique spiritually. He knew when he's going to die. He knew exactly, he knew what he made preparations and he gave instructions. Now when he gave instructions, he always followed. And when he says something, it always happens. I'm not give that story. There are many stories like that. When he says something, it will come to pass. So that Shankaracharya was really great. When people from India, qualified persons from India, in religious field can bow to him and accept him. And people send a test him also. He's learning hammock. And he'll tell you, go. You have a problem, I'll see about it. And people say, what kind of thing is that? But whatever he says, come to pass. That is the greatness of that Shankaracharya we have. Of which Swaha is formed, and Swaha continues to grow because of his blessings. And let me just end with this. That pass on Padishwar. I'll end with this because when Swaha is formed, in my humble way, I went and I got a picture from Swaha Devi from India, printed, draw it. So it came from Mathura. I really can't tell why it's all come from Mathura. And I wrote the Swaha Chalisa and I was stuck. And the Swaha Chalisa, I couldn't end it. I went to Shankaracharya. And here we are speaking to his children and to those close to him. He said, what happened? You don't know that? You don't know that? I said, already, I don't know. He said, look, let me tell you. And he gave it. Those who have seen the Swaha Chalisa, if you want to see it, get one. I have many here. You'll see the last closing stanza he gave, where he says, Swaha is everything. Swaha is Devi. And Swaha says, and who proclaimed that? All the devotees. That is the month he gave. And that is the end of Chalisa. That's how the Chalisa ended. Shankaracharya ended Chalisa by giving that closing mantra to make sure Chalisa is concluded. That is something I think most people do not know. Because when I went to my Shankaracharya, I said, Father, you call him Father. This Swaha Chalisa, write it, but I can't finish it. He said, here, boy, you don't know that, I'll tell you. Make me sit down and call out and write it. So he gave everything. In Swaha Arati too, he gave I'll talk about another day. He gave a line in that was so important. He surprised him. So at this point in time, the Shankaracharya is remembered. Recently, as you know, he has given an award, I think, right? He has given an award, right? That to me means nothing. For anybody to award him, he always said that what I do is what my Lord wants me to do. He made that statement, I can clearly on his bell line down. He said, what I do is not I do it, Krishna Bhagavan. He is the controller. And he had that kind of wisdom and that kind of perspective that God does everything. Don't give praises to nobody. But we recognize and we mention these things for people to know as history of the known. And he said that, the history of the known. He gave us his history. We go down another day, who the Guru was, what he started us, what people did to him. He said, what will do to him? He want that nobody to go out to history and know anybody he knows. And he made sure, put things in place to ensure that doesn't happen. His greatness, his perspicacity, his insight on something else. That is what we call it Shankaracharya. Panadishwar, Panajayat,
Thank you, Pandit Gandevji, for bringing back wonderful memories. I'm sure to many of our viewers and many of the followers of Swaha. Definitely, as we think about late Shankaracharya ji and our own Paramachar and the various pundits of Swaha and many others who have contributed over the years, we would know that Swaha has brought forth, as was mentioned before, so many wonderful publications. But I want to say this and remind you, for those who are looking on and those who perhaps maybe new and want to know, okay, so what is so special? What can you gain or how can you benefit? So you're not in Grandi, you're not in Diego Martin, you're not in one of these areas where you can benefit directly, perhaps from one of our pundits in one of our centers or branches or affiliates. But at the same time, if you check swahainternational.org, the Swaha Facebook page, any of the center's individual Facebook pages, you'll see certain wonderful, articles, publications, videos, messages being shared. And in particular, I want to dwell on, the Swaha newsletter, which for over 20 years was published continuously. It was a print newsletter that was given for free and sold at a nominal cost to others, and is now online. So it's an online newsletter that really has tremendous information about any topic you can think about in Hinduism. So we spoke on one of our programs in the last few weeks about, we may say some things that are taboo and some things that are superstition, and really there's no merit in it really. And then there are others, bad omens and so on. Many of these are cleared up, clarified in some of our publications. So look, any topic you want some information on Hinduism, I can challenge you, go and check our Swaha website and search for it. Actually type it in and search on the Swaha International page. And I'm sure, especially if you're looking at information, any of the main forms, you will find information to guide you. Any of the major celebrations, you will find worthwhile information, useful information that gives a different perspective and broadens your understanding of the topic. And this is one way in which, leading from that tradition of Pandit Hari Prasad Ji, late Shankaracharya, and all of the other pundits and those who have contributed, they have left something tangible. There's something that you can all benefit from. You just need to go and look for it and use it to enhance your life. So again, I say thanks to all those who have supported and who will continue to support us. We are lucky to have you and we are privileged to have you, and we encourage you to get involved and to do more. There's a lot more that Swaha would like to do. The pandemic period, the last 2 years have really hit us just as it would have hit so many of you. And we can't even talk about that without, I must mention all the thousands and thousands of individuals who got together and work together to help other families by way of hamper and other contributions and so on. These are some of the things we did by way of social service. But I'm saying get involved, help us to do a lot more that we know needs to be done. And finally, I'll hand over to Pandit Jaidat to wrap up things for today. Sitaram, everyone.
Thank you to members of the panel, Pandit Gyandev, Pandit Ishwar, and of course, we are out of time for today. So let me thank our viewers for once again joining us on the Hindu perspective. And we were able to get some insights into, the history of Swaha, as well as the life of the Shankaracharya, which you cannot, disentangle both. They are linked and they will always be. And of course, over the weekend, there are going to be celebrations for the anniversary and to recognize the life of the Shankaracharya across the Swaha network. So visit our website, visit our social media, as well as you can call to our Swaha office, 674-7384. So thank you, and we'll see you again. Sitaram.